As promised, we are joined by the father of Jason and Travis Kelce. Did a lot of media stuff last week. I don't know how much he's doing this week here on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. The great Ed Kelce. Ed, you did a lot of stuff last week, didn't you?
Well, I was on a lot of radio shows. I did some some Cleveland local television stuff. And I was got to go on NFL. Good Morning Football was pretty cool, and but did a lot of radio stuff. Did a few different podcasts.
So that's awesome. Have you done anything since the Super Bowl, or is this your first one?
Oh, I had a call into to a radio station in Cleveland. The sports giant there, an AM station, WTAM, called into them yesterday afternoon before I boarded the plane. So, and that's just, kind of partial to the hometown guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love going on in Cleveland. I always say I was there for like a month. They traded for me when LaCharles Bentley tore his knee up. They traded for me, so I was there. I started the last 3 preseason games. And then the Eagles screwed me. They traded for Hank Fraley from the Eagles, and the Browns cut me. So I got to be the only guy that started 3 games for the Browns, was there for a month, and didn't even make the team.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to make any derogatory comments about the Browns management. I think there's lots of that stuff out there.
Hey, so Ed, I want to start with this. I noticed you didn't watch the Super Bowl with your wife. Talk to me about that. Why is that typical you don't watch it with her, or it was just because of the Super Bowl?
Well, first, she's my ex-wife.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, and there's typically we watch most games together. The opportunity came for her to sit up with in the booth, in the thing with Roger Goodell and everyone else that was up there. And I'm more of an in the stands, watch the game type guy. Plus, my granddaughters and my daughter-in-law and her folks were downstairs. Were down in the stands, so I just chose to do that.
So you were with Jason's family.
I was Jason's family. Yes.
That's cool, man. Very cool. So I got a million questions for you. So first of all, while you're watching the game, what were sort of the emotions? I know it's not the first time they played against each other, so maybe you're kind of used to it. But what were your emotions watching the game?
I don't know. I think every time the either offense stumbled, kind of felt a groan, if you know what I mean. May have been once or twice when the Chiefs hit something really big. I was kind of excited, but always, shit. You know what I mean? Excuse my French, but at the same time, you're sorry to see your son's team get hit with a big play, but you're also happy to see your son's team make a big play. So
were you Ed? Was it unique for you since you were with Jason's family? Did you kind of have to catch yourself or watch yourself?
Yeah, I did. Not only that,
among all Eagles fans.
Well, not only that, they had me mic'd up. That is the NFL Network. They had me mic'd up. Are we still on?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, I lost the picture somehow. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, I was mic'd up by the NFL. And that, so you had to be very, very careful what I said. And I sat next to Jason's agent, and that's always a lot of fun because agents are typically guys that know a lot about football, and it's great to sit with them. So and you can make comments to them that you don't necessarily want the whole world to hear,
right?
And so I had to watch my P's and Q's there. But it was, I wasn't too worried about it. I mean, I could, I was, that first series the Chiefs had when they just hit Travis 3 times and scored. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, to say the least.
I was going to say, so what was your daughter-in-law and your granddaughters and even your daughter-in-law's parents, what were they thinking when you were excited about Travis
Oh,
having the
they
catches?
know.
They kind of get it.
Yeah, they get it. Certainly, of course. Yeah, they certainly get it. I mean, they're both big Eagles fans. They've been here all their life, but they understand what it's like to have a son. They understand what it's like for me to have Jason on the Eagles. They also know what it's like to have Travis on the Chiefs, and they enjoy watching Travis. I mean, they know Travis. Any chance he gets, he's in here. He's in Philly just to see the girls, not just to see the girls, but that's when he gets here. That becomes his focus is those two little girls. So yeah, college folks know all about that. I didn't get any.
Um,
And
what about your thoughts, Ed, after the game? Um, I guess I'm just curious as to what that's like because you're obviously really happy for the one son, but your heart's broken for the other. Talk to me about what you were feeling after the game, what you did after the game.
well, stayed in the stands right up until the end of the game. Actually, I think after the field goal, I went to the bathroom and then I couldn't get back down to my seat. But I didn't have any prior instructions on how to get on the field. So I had to track down, got one of the stadium security people who had to call a supervisor who walked me as far as he could. Then I had a problem with the pass to get through through security to actually get down the ramp onto the field. And then that became a nightmare. Meanwhile, I'm getting texts from Jason. I mean, he went out to see Travis right after the game, and he saw his mother, and I think he was hanging around for a chance to see me. And I didn't get on the field in time until he gave up and went in the locker room. Now, fortunately, as soon as I got on there, Travis came off an interview. I saw him right away, and then I, tried to pretend I know what I'm doing and just walk right into the Eagles locker room. And that didn't work, by the way. But I did talk to some people, and suddenly Jason appeared. So I got to spend a few minutes with him.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny. I literally, right before we started talking, I just saw a clip of Jason hugging Travis. And then he said to Delane Johnson, I'm trying to find my parents. I'm trying to see my parents. I'm trying to see my parents. And all of a sudden, Donna comes up to him and he hugs Donna. And I can imagine after that, he was waiting, trying to find you.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised he was able to use his phone. I didn't think he had his phone with him then, but I'm getting texts from him. Where are you? Where are you? And of course, he may have given up by then and gone back in the locker room. But somebody got to him and managed to get him out, and I got to spend a moment with him.
It's funny, just knowing your boys a little bit, Ed, and I don't know them personally that well, but just kind of from afar. And I knew they grew up in Cleveland Heights or whatever. When I first was thinking about this game this week, and I found out what you did for a living or why you moved to Cleveland, I guess I read somewhere steel salesman. You tell me if that's right or not. But what I'm thinking is, if you would have given me 3 guesses as to Jason and Travis's dad's name, Ed definitely would have been one of them. And if you said, what did he do for a living? I would have said probably like a steel salesman. Is that right?
Well, I sold operating materials to the steel industry, steel and metals processing industry. So I didn't actually sell the steel, but I would go into steel mills and I would sell them insulating materials. We don't want to get into too much technical stuff here, but basically stuff that they have to use on a regular basis to get going. To
Got
operate.
it. Okay, that makes sense. What is your background? Were you or Donna athletes? I'm sure you've been asked that a million times.
Sure, Donna. I played football in high school for 3 years and tore my knee in the summer of my senior year. So that was all for me in football. Donna was when I met her, she was playing on a softball team, a baseball team, or I say softball team and a soccer. And she had been she had been very good at track as a like in the middle school years. I don't think she did it in high school. Her father had played for Ohio University for a year. Uncle Don, her brother, had he was at Purdue for 4 years. So there you got to kind of give it up to the athletic ability just based on all that. You got to think maybe a lot of that came from mom.
How tall are you, Ed? How tall is Donna?
Donna's 5'9.5", maybe 5'10". I've been calling myself 6 foot forever, but it's like maybe a 30-second under.
It's funny. My dad is 5'9", like a $170, but my mom is probably is a good 5'9", and my uncle went to Delaware on a full ride. So I always say it definitely most of it came from her side. It's funny because my wife always comments on this. When you look at NFL players, usually the mom is a taller woman. You know what I mean? It seems you don't see very many small moms.
I never focused on that. I'm gonna have to take your word for it. I mean, because you've seen so much more than I have is with your your business in the NFL. My time or my exposure to the NFL has been, watching tight end routes and watching guys snap the ball and what he does afterwards.
When did you know or did you not know until they got to the NFL that your boys were special? Like, when did you know, boy, these kids really have something?
Well, my father's family was very big. So growing up, there was a toddler someplace. And, the older kids take care of and play with the younger kids at the family picnics, at the gatherings. And so, everybody gets together for a weekend barbecue, whatever. So I had an exposure to playing ball with little kids, with toddlers. And playing the same type of games with Jason and subsequently Travis, it was obvious then that there was something a little different here. In the back of your mind thinking, then as they got into even the small community sports, it was obvious they had a lot more God-given talent than some of the other kids. And the further along we progressed with the youth sports, it became evident there's something special here. These guys can, and this will serve them well. I mean, we all know that athletes or athletic experience and proficiency in sports, or not just proficiency, participation in team sports is a relationship builder. And so it was always pretty obvious to me that the sports ability was going to do them well, going to serve them well in the future. Now, they didn't play football until they got to middle school. It wasn't really a youth football program in Cleveland Heights. And I saw Jason play in middle school. He fell in love with it, and he has some very good coaches. And I think we all realized at that point, this kid could be good. Now, that was far too young to start talking about scholarships or any of that. And it was probably middle school that I realized that, these guys are going to play football, and they're going to play it at college. Now, they're going to play it on Sunday. I don't know. As well as I do, awful lot of guys that are as good of football players as Jason and Travis get to 1 or 2 years and injuries hit them that they have no control over. They do everything they can right to recover from the injuries. They're not lazy. They do the work, but it just doesn't work out. I mean, I'm sure you know a lot more guys than I do, that I even know of, that happened to. And, so that's kind of like a wild card in there. Before you start claiming my kid's going to play in the NFL, you better hope for a little help that he doesn't get sidelined by an injury here or there. But yeah, high school, it was high school just confirmed everything. His high school coach was very supportive, and his high school coach, he had a couple of kids in the league. The most recent one being Barry Cofield.
Oh yeah,
with the Giants. Okay, he was a Heights High graduate. and Coach Jones was well aware of him there. Their assistant, one of Coach's assistants, I'm going to call him Coach Robo because I never figured out how to pronounce his last name. But Coach Robo was actually a strength coach with the Browns for a few years, and he had a lot of guys playing for him that came from smaller schools and stuff. So he, but he was, he was very supportive. He said, "Yeah, there's some talent here. You can see it and you can feel it that they're better than other people, and you know that they're going to do the work to be the best they can. But when you start hearing it from guys that have coached players that went to that next level, that played on Sunday, then it really starts to hit home."
Yeah, I bet. This is, I think, the second or third off season where, there's some talk about whether or not Jason will continue playing. Does he ever ask you your opinion of it? Do you ever talk about it? Obviously, it's funny, Ed, because I guess I look at it differently now than when I played, right? Like when I played, I would have played as long as I could. And in fact, I herniated my C5, C6 in my neck and bruised my spinal cord. And when Washington's spinal surgeon said, you're 28, you went to Princeton, maybe go get a real job, I was almost like, okay, right? Like,
Yeah.
But now that I look back on it now, I have two little girls. Mine are 9 and 11, so they're older than Jason's. But boy, I really I think that would be a tough decision every year because about the wear and tear on the body, about some of the research out there about the hits to the head, but he's also still playing so well and he makes so much money and all that stuff. I guess, are you able to give him any additional perspective when he's thinking about that stuff or talking about it?
I don't think I can. I think this has got to come from the heart. This has got to be very organic, Jason, if you will. I know I don't think he ever expected to be playing 12 years. And certainly he is off the field and in the off season, he's wrapped up in those little girls. And, so I don't know where this will go. I'm sure there's a little bit of a sour taste in his mouth right now that says, "You got to get back there and fix this." He doesn't, as far as advising him, I'm not in a position to do that. That's something each guy's got to do. And there's a few things, like you say, he's at the top of his game, which means he can make a lot of money next year. There's a lot to be said for walking away at the top of your game. I think we just got to wait, and he's got to weigh the situation. Kylie, that is his wife, just gave up trying to figure it out. She says, "I'll know he's retiring when he stands up in front of a podium in March and says, 'That's it, I'm done.'" And then starts to lose weight. Okay. Like you did, I'm sure you did. All these guys do, all the big uglies. First thing they do when they quit this game is they get the weight off and they feel better. And once that happens, you're not coming back. So it's not like, Gronk or Brady, "I'm retiring." You step into retirement, then all of a sudden, "I think I'll go back." Once you start losing that weight, that pretty much ends your career.
So I think, Ed, when I got hurt, I think I was 312, and that was like the third or fourth preseason game. By Christmas, I was 248.
Yeah.
I was so upset about football being over and just kind of like, it's an identity for all of us.
Sure.
And I had heard from people, you don't stay the same. You either balloon up or you lose the weight, and your best bet is to do it right away. So I just dove into trying to do it right away because the sooner you get it off, the better it is for everything.
Sure. That's right.
That
locker room is hard to quit. I know that.
Oh man.
That's what every guy says. That's it's not the game as much as it is the locker room. I just miss the guys. And it's hard to get that back. I mean, you're not going to get that back. That's something that you guys get to cherish. That's your own.
You know what? It's truly unique, and the real world life is not like the locker room. It's just different. The last thing I have for you, Ed, isn't even really a question. I think it's just a comment. So, and I'm sure it doesn't change when you're your age. Maybe it does. I don't know. But I mentioned the two daughters I have. I feel like I just want them to be happy and I want them to be good people. And I think you know this, and people probably tell you, but just watching Jason, I've talked to him a few times, but watching the type of person that he is, the way he treats people, the way he dives into the charity stuff, like the Eagles autism and what he does at Sea Isle and in the city.
Sure, the B Philly Foundation with what he's doing with the empowering students and their families.
I guess I
some
just
of the
feel like you
disadvantaged,
must
yeah.
be so proud, more than the football player he is, but just the type of young man he's turned out to be.
Yes, yeah, he does. He's done some wonderful things, and I could see him continuing that in some capacity for the rest of his life. That's the way he's built. Ditto for Travis right here. I don't know if you could see this. It's my Operation Breakthrough T-shirt. I don't think you can catch that very well, but
Nice.
Operation Breakthrough in Kansas City, where Travis started up an ignition lab, which is basically providing vocational guidance to kids so they can experience different things like welding. Podcast production is one of their things. They're learning graphic arts. They're learning computer repair. They're rebuilding a '69 Chevelle Super Sport. It's going to come out all electric and pull 50 horses more than it did off the line. Okay, it's going to pull 400 horses, and I think there were only 350 horses off the line when they came out. So the kids get an exposure to all that, and that's Travis was very fortunate to hook up with Mary Esselman, the CEO of Operation Breakthrough, and wondered how he could help. I think Andy Reid had sent him there with a couple other tight ends his rookie season just to read to the kids, and Travis decided to get involved, and with Mary's help and guidance, he's been instrumental in getting some projects started and doing some very fine things. So, yeah, the boys are awesome with what they do off the field, and you're absolutely right that is at least as important, if not more important, than what they do on the field. I mean, what they do on the field enables them to do the rest. And you're very happy, very proud as a parent to see them take that interest and initiative and move forward like that.
Ed, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate the time. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Ross, anytime. You have a good day.